Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Tamara, and we are here today to review another book, and it is Echo Fort. For those of you who haven't seen the first video, Echo Fort, I believe, is meant to be a trilogy. It's the Sins of the Zodiac, I think it's a trilogy, and Neverkeep was the first book, and then Echo Fort is the second book. We reviewed Neverkeep in a prior video, and I was not really shy in admitting that it was not my favorite of the book. In Zodiac, Academy, Worlds, everything, it wasn't my favorite, and I feel like a lot of people love it, but it was just not for me. And I was hopeful and really curious about the second book because I heard it was better than the first book, which was welcoming news to me. But I also had a bunch of little issues with the first book being Neverkeep, and I was really kind of hoping that this book kind of answered those questions, and I can absolutely admit that it did. This book I found significantly better than Neverkeep, and I'm glad that I wasn't led astray in that fact. Are there still some things with it? Sure, but there was so much positives for me with this one that I would give it a 4 out of 5. And I give Neverkeep, I think, like a 2 out of 5. So significant difference, and I'm excited to talk about Echo Fort. If for those of you who don't know, this is a spoiler talk. If you don't want to be spoiled, come back when you've read it. But if not, then let's chat, because Echo Fort, to me, all of the questions about the why that I had, and I think I mentioned for Neverkeep that it almost felt like dull or one-noted in terms of the purpose and what we're really itching for in characters, like what their goal is. I felt like it was one-noted, it was a little bland, but this book definitely opens up a bigger plot point. We know this is a warfront kind of world we're in, but I feel like with all the mystery behind the Reapers and that coming of power that we divulged in a little bit in Neverkeep, this one you get a little bit more about it. Not full circle, but I feel like they took the emphasis of the school, which is Neverkeep, out in this one, and it became more of a side thought. It wasn't, the main focal point. Graduating, becoming a name, it was important because they graduated. Well, technically, I guess, in this book, but it was such an afterthought that I just kind of shied right by. And I think because of that, it opened up so much world building outside of the school, which kind of gave the story more purpose, the mystery about the power between what the Reapers are trying to do, who can be trusted. Obviously, we already knew it was a brooding battle between the elements and their kingdom, so touched more on that as well. But I don't know, it gave me more optimism that this story is not as dull as I thought it was going to be in the first one. So I'm more optimistic now, and I owe that to this book because it gave me more content, and I appreciate it. Do we fully know where we're going? No, but like I said, I'm more open-minded because of this book, and I can give it some credit. Another thing I enjoy in this book is it is very much focused on the side journeys of our two female leads, and then they come together yet again partway through the book. But I feel like when they came together this time in this book, there was so much more character development by the time they got together, and then them together was really sentimental. You get to see them in vulnerable states on both spectrums of their side journeys with these male leads. Now I'm gonna call them male leads because we've gotten enough screen time for both of them that I'm okay, these characters you would think are here to stay. And I feel like you get a lot of growth from Everest and her journey kind of being captured and dealing with the fact that she is a weapon and the weapon to kind of end the war potentially. So now she's come into power she didn't know she was ever going to have, but she has it. And now she's navigating how and who she kind of owes her loyalties to. And I think that indecisiveness is going to come more so in the next book as to where she chooses to go, because at the end of this book she kind of chose to go back with her country, her kingdom, with her father, her brother, and it's just, that was the safest bet. That's the most simplistic. What she always wanted to do was make her immediate family element proud. And so as much as her and the Sky Witch discuss where do we want to go from here, because we know we're different. We know that our what we're exposed to is more than anyone else has been, and we should do something about it. And I feel like the Sky Witch really drove those conversations in terms of like, I'm okay to ditch where I came from if it like brings us to a bigger purpose, because she's like that curious. And they shared in that curiosity, but at the end it kind of looks like Everest is alluding back to like, no, what I always wanted was this. So I should stick with that, even though what I could be doing is so much more. So I feel like that indecisiveness with her character is really going to come forward in the next one, because then she's going to realize that what she always wanted isn't what she needs in terms of like feeling at peace and whole with like where she belongs. And I feel like that's the underlying message with both of these female leads, is them trying to find where they belong. And even with the Sky Witch, she went on quite the journey to find the dragon, pretty much, that she had set free. And then her prince wants to essentially, like, he ordered her to bring the dragon to him because it's like an old power that the dragon possesses, and he wants to control it, just like how whoever captured him the first time wanted to control it, but we still don't know really who that is. But she went on quite the journey with like the character that plays dragon, I think his name is Bastion, and a lot of vulnerability from the Sky Witch's character when she was dealing with him, and like them feeling alone in their own characters, and then coming together and like kind of finding that peace within each other. And at the end, she does still do what she said she would do. She did turn him over, and he was very like smited by it. Like he was upset, rightfully so. She was like shedding tears and stuff. So like she felt, you know, the betrayal in that, because her gut didn't want to do that to him. But again, she's very fixated on, no, like this is all I am. I follow orders. I am a weapon. That's the only way I know that I'm seeing peace. And like this is where I fit. But she could fit with him. Like they could start something. They like, you know, there was more to learn, and she was open to divulging and leaving what she always knew, when Everest was also partially in the loop with this whole plan. But I feel like the fear is more like, she's more fearful of doing that with Bastion, because there's more like an emotional connection there in terms of romance, because he for sure is going to be her end game, like in my eyes. And I'm really looking forward to seeing that, because now he is captured and going to be at Echo Fort, which is where the actual Sky people reside. Like that's where the prince is, like that's their main base. So now they're going to be there, and like she's most likely, I'm assuming, going to set him free at some point and betray her prince. And I'm looking forward to it, because it's them both in their own worlds, Everest and the Sky Witch, living what they thought they always wanted and it not being good enough. And then they come together to forge their own path that goes outside the grain. And that's, I think, what I love so much about this book, is it really sets up that plot point. And plus there was so much character development. This whole story focused on those two girls, them as side characters and coming together to be like the characters, and then the guys as well. The guy that's obviously tied to Everest, and she's like adamant about killing him because he killed her mother, and there's like some eluding mystery as to why he's so emotionally immune and like just doesn't feel anything, but Everest gets him to feel, and not in the romantic way you think. It's like her power actually is like opening him up, as if there's a shield, and like his queen knows about this, and as if like a motherly instinct is like very happy that he is feeling in any way, shape, or form when affiliated to Everest. So it's like one of those things that he's a little bit of a mystery, and I think also so is Bastion, as to why and how they ended up there. How did he end up so emotionally closed off? How did Bastion end up the first time for hundreds of years chained and like captured the first time when we found him? So I'm really interested in their stories, as now they're both kind of like entrapped in different states approaching this next book. Especially, I'm so sorry, I always forget the guy's name from the Everest standpoint, but he supposedly looked like he died, like Everest killed him, but she, I don't think did, because at the end of the book he has like a chapter from his POV, and it looks like, oh, he's finally free, like he can fully feel like it's not just temporary now, like he is absolutely himself, and he was kind of climbing up from the ashes from this battle. But then it also like gave some weird sentences, which makes me confused. Is like, is he actually alive, or is he like passing to the afterlife and that's his perspective? I don't know. So I feel like I'm open. obviously he's alive. Like, he has to be her love interest. And she also was like shedding some tears and emotion as if like killing him is what she thought she wanted. But we don't know if that's actually what she wanted. And it's almost like the smallest ounce of regret that she was taking his life when she thought she was. So it was like one of those things where I'm like, this is so complex. Like, these characters are so complex. I love it. And I just love learning more about them, their choices, and now these guys as well that are like thrown into the mix that are still somewhat mysterious. So I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I feel like it's very obvious. Highly recommend. And I cannot wait for the next one. I feel like this book brought me back in, and I was questioning if I'm in after reading Neverkeep, but this one did it. This one, I am excited for what's coming next. Bye for now, everyone.